blaming obesity on genetics is a lie to keep us fat. If I believe that healthy vegetables and healthy fruits and protein bars are things I should be eating, and the fact that I'm getting fat is a malfunction of my body, then there's nothing to do but keep eating these healthy foods. Now, if I don't understand that that's a lie, I keep eating fruits, vegetables, and protein shakes, my body is being punched in the face, right? It's ruining my health, and it's raising my weight, and it's emptying my bank account, because now I'm going to spend my money trying to fight my genetics rather than recognizing that what they're telling me just isn't true. I believed this lie for so many years, and I built a body that was constantly in pain, and slowly my weight was rising. When my daughter was young, I would engage in the simplest of activities with her, take her to the park and run around. I'm chasing a 2-year-old, and I would have to recover for a few days because I would be so sore the next day. Wasn't overweight yet. It was just like using my body hurt. And that had started back when I was like in my early 20s, that just doing normal activities left me in pain. Now, fast forward, she's getting older. I'm teaching her to ski, right? And so we're going skiing. And now going to the mountain to ski often equals 2 days of recovery time. Like, I just can't do anything at all the next 2 or 3 days. And if I happen to fall, now I'm really in trouble. Like, recovery was taking ridiculous amounts of time. Now, is that normal? Is that what's supposed to happen? Should it take me days to recover? No, not at all. It doesn't take me days to recover now, and I'm older than I was when my daughter is 19 now. I'm 17 years older, and it doesn't take me days to recover. So why was that happening to me? Was it strictly because I was just that overweight? Well, no, because the changes that happened, so what I did to fix it, it was solved before I lost weight. It didn't take months or even years for my pain to go away. It took a few weeks. So what do I think happened? So I'm going to give you my ideas of being the person who was overweight and in pain, or I should say it the other way around, who was in pain and then eventually overweight. I'm going to give you my impressions of that versus the person today sitting in front of you at a normal weight and not in pain any longer. What I think happened was that the processes that my body was doing was causing the problem. We've been told that genetics controls everything, right? Like how tall we're going to be, how much we're going to weigh, how long we're going to live, and even what diseases we're going to get. Like we've been told that genetics determine. That is too simplistic. There's more to the story than just like my genes express and that's all that's happening. Of course, I understand genetics influence our weight and our height and and like disease expression. I'm not discounting that. But I need us to understand that our environment plays a huge role in exactly like what our life is going to look like and how our body is going to be over the course of our lifetime. So if I have a baby, and let's say that the genetics of this baby, we read it and we can see like, oh, at the age of 50, everything being what it's supposed to be, a person is going to be perfect, in great health, in great mental health. Like they're set up to be great 50 years from now. No major health issues. But then, as I'm raising this little person, I'm feeding them only 50% of what they're supposed to eat over the course of their, young life. 50%. The child is not going to achieve the height that they're supposed to get, or even the weight that they're supposed to get. It's not going to happen. They're not eating enough. Now, not only that, the child is going to struggle to learn, and the child is going to struggle emotionally. Like they're going to have a hard time, like being emotionally stable. Everything is going to be hard. Now, if I add to this that I'm raising this little person in an environment, or let's say I live in a neighborhood where there's always police sirens and ambulance sirens and, loud environments, and like maybe there are things happening and screaming and yelling next door. So this child now is struggling to even get the sleep that the child is supposed to get. Again, this is going to have a huge impact on whether or not they are going to reach that best scenario of what their body and their mind is supposed to be. The baseline ideal structure, right, that a newborn has is only going to be able to progress as well as the environment allows, right? The little person needs to get the food, the care, the sleep, the water, all the things, the activities, so exercise, all the things that would allow that little body to grow forward and express those genetics that says this is going to be a person with no mental or physical problems. And then add to this now that we have the genetics start kicking in. How does the child's body actually react to the food that it is getting? Not the ideal food that it could get, the food it is getting. How is the child's body reacting to the amount of sleep the child is getting? The amount of activity the child is getting? They want us to believe that the reason keto and carnivore doesn't work for everybody is because everybody's different. But I need us to understand that the reason that we are all different is because we've all lived our own path to the point where when we start keto, my body's amount of damage and structural problems that it's trying to overcome is different from the person beside me to the left, to the right, and the person beside me to the left. Like, it's different, right? Like, each person and their history and their background and their food history and their sleep history and their friend interaction history, all the things that I've lived in my life impact my gene expression. Was I living in a house full of smokers? Right? When I was breastfed, was my parent taking something? All of this stuff impacts how my genes express. When things get turned on matters just as much as whether or not they get turned on in terms of gene expression. It is so hard to argue against the idea that we're all different because it's true. So I'm not trying to argue against it. What I'm trying to get us all to pause and look at is that we are all human, and therefore there's a baseline reality for everybody. Carbohydrates impact human bodies a certain way, in a negative way, in a toxic way. That baseline is true for all of us. That means that what's healthy for all of us, there's a baseline also what is true. So every day that baby is growing, right, and interacting with the world. And that interaction is determining how the body continues to grow, right? How their mind continues to grow. At some point, that child needs more than breast milk. And so now the question is, what are the first foods that the child will get? In our history, you go back way, way before we had stores, the child would eat whatever parent was eating. And if it was meat or something, like, parent would have chewed it up and then put it in the baby's mouth, and that's how they would, we see birds do this all the time. They still do that. Like, there's some animals that still do this. And so the child would have eaten what I ate. Now, when my daughter was born, that wasn't the story. We have grocery stores. And we have medical professionals that tell us what's the first thing our child should eat. So our kids don't actually end up eating whatever is on our plate. I went to the grocery store and my doctor told me that the first thing she should get would be cereal and banana. And so that's what I purchased. Cereal, and baby banana. Can I just say, she hated banana. It was a fight to get her to keep it in her. She spit it out. And I mean, the cereal, no problem, ate that. But the banana was like a big fight. And I was told, no, you keep pushing forward. She needs to eat it. And so I kept pushing forward for a bit. Eventually, what I figured out is she eats cereal really good. She ate vegetables that were not sweet very well. So like things like peas and like the ones that tasted more neutral. And as she grew, that stayed a very obvious thing that I noticed. My daughter would always eat the blandest of bland things. Like her favorite cereal was Weetabix, just Weetabix milk. That's it. That was her favorite cereal growing up. And she just didn't like fruit. But she ate vegetables, so I didn't fuss about it. I just let her eat vegetables. And initially she did like meat, and that was never a problem. Because of my job. So let me just add to this story. I saw a lot of young people that were obese. So when my daughter was born, there was a rule. There was zero candy in her life until the age of 4. It was just a rule. Everybody understood. Don't give her any candy, no ice cream, no popsicle, none of those junk food things. No chips, nothing. She just ate real food from the age of 0 to 4 years old. After that, I lifted the rule because I thought that was healthy and normal. I thought it was normal. But prior to that, she didn't get, so from 4 to 6, she still kind of had this lean towards bland, neutral tastes. The first time that she actually ate some sweet something, like in any great quantity, I would say, is she had 5 or 6 bites of her birthday cake at her birthday party. The first time I'd ever seen her eat something that was sweet and actually eat it and like didn't push it away. 5 or 6 bites, and then she was like, oh, that's enough, and she went to play. My daughter doesn't have a weight problem. Does that mean that everything's okay? Well, no, because I didn't have a weight problem at her age. It took me years to get to the place where weight started to be an issue. My first signs of any kind of problem were joint issues, right? My knees actually were the first to go. And eventually then it was elbows and my back. I remember that came, and all the way up until eventually I had a neck problem, and I started to see a chiropractor at that point. And by that point I'd already had my daughter. So we're talking in my mid-30s, the chiropractor came into the story. I understand now from all those joint issues that my body was actually struggling with food. And you see, this is the thing where I would not have labeled or connected those dots, because for me, in my family, weight issues was actually a thing, right? My grandmother and my aunts had weight issues, and they struggled with weight issues from what I could see for a good portion of their life. But my mother didn't have any weight issues. And I don't even think she had weight issues or anything until she retired. When she stopped working, that's when a little bit of weight came on. But during her working life, no. So it wasn't something that I was looking at myself for. And so I wasn't looking at my food in that way. My mother gaining weight after she stopped working, I kind of saw as normal. Me gaining some weight after my daughter was born, even though it happened like 5 years later, I kind of saw as normal. Like people gain weight when they have children, right? People gain weight when they stop moving around, right? Because we believe these lies, when we start gaining weight, we don't pause and realize that this is weird. And we look into our family history, and so I looked into my family history and I saw, oh yeah, well, grandma, oh wait, aunties. And so, so this is normal for us, is part of our genetic makeup that I would eventually gain weight, right? But what's really weird is that today I'm sitting here 70 pounds lighter than I was like 5.5 years ago. So I did not change my genetics. So how did I accomplish this? I changed my eating habits, Wellness Warrior. Changing my eating habits had a profound impact on my life. But not in the sense that, oh, I couldn't party with my friends, or I felt left out, or like not in this. Most people, when we talk about changing their eating habits, are so afraid of the huge impact it's going to have on their life towards some negative. I'm not going to have fun anymore. I'm not going to enjoy my life anymore. I'm going to be stuck eating rabbit food. That's not what happened to me. My life changed, and profound impact, because I lost 70 pounds and have kept it off easily. So the part where I say I kept it off easily equals I'm not struggling and feeling left out when I go to a party and people are eating junk. I'm not struggling or feeling left out when I go out to a restaurant. I'm not struggling when I'm not overeating every single day, because I like feeling good, and because I don't find that food tastes good to me anymore. When you start eating healthy, garbage doesn't taste good anymore. When you start eating healthy and live 5.5 years at a healthy weight, staying at a healthy weight is really appealing. And I figured out that carbohydrates cause weight gain, cause inflammation. So all those joint pains that I was living, inflammation, by the way, causes weight gain because you're retaining water and all that kind of stuff, which is double whammy. Now, there's also hormone disturbances and a bunch of other things that happen when you are overeating carbohydrates. Life on a high carb diet is just so much more difficult. And it isn't just about weight gain and pain. When your hormones are out of balance, when your neurotransmitters aren't doing well, like you're not able to think clearly, you're not, your moods are not regulated, like you're all over the place, not to mention like other internal things happen. So the interactions you have with your family members is going to be difficult because you're moody, and maybe, you know, like arguing with your kids and like with your spouse, and life isn't fun. You're not thinking clearly. So maybe work has problems because it's not fun. Life on a high carb diet is much more difficult all around. Most people have no clue that the foods that they're eating is actually impacting their mood, their mental health. But that's a conversation for another day. If you want to know more about that, hit subscribe. And when I make that video, because I am making a video all about that. It's coming up soon. If you really want to know why we're obese in North America, and the fact that obesity is going up around the world, I think it comes down to these two main points. That we think that everybody's different, being a reason that, so if we're all different, we can just eat whatever, like that lie, plus we ignore the impact of carbohydrates on our weight. Those two things together, I think, make up for the majority of people who are obese today. That we just keep believing these two lies. Oh, you're different. Everybody's different. Keto can't work for everybody. Carnivore can't work for everybody. Like, if my body and your body are that different at the basic level of how carbohydrates impact us, they're not. We end up allowing those two pieces of information to get us to eat whatever we want, even though it's not healthy. And we know it's not healthy, right? Some of the things we're eating, like cookies and ice cream, we know that stuff, but it allows us to have some sweet fruit, right? Because I'm not going to eat the chocolate bar, but I'm going to have that banana or that mango. Or we cannot just eat whatever we want and expect our body to keep us healthy. Like it just can't happen. If you want to be at a healthy weight, the only option you actually have is to eat healthy food. Healthy bodies are built with healthy food.